I have complex PTSD. Of course I isolate and just tell everybody I'm a homebody. I have complex PTSD. Of course I gotta work through people pleasing and wanting to make sure that everybody is okay. I have complex PTSD. Of course I have difficulties trusting people. I have complex PTSD. Of course I blame myself for things that have nothing to do with me. I have complex PTSD. Of course I'm working through perfectionism and trying to gain people's approval and stay away from negative criticism. I have complex PTSD. Of course I have a high ACE score. I have complex PTSD. Of course I have difficulties finding a therapist that knows how to treat complex PTSD, let alone even knows what it is. I have complex PTSD. Of course my medical bills are high. I have complex PTSD. Of course I'm always tired. I have complex PTSD. Of course I don't want to ask nobody for help, because why would I put myself at risk for being disappointed? I have complex PTSD. Of course I've been misdiagnosed several times. I have complex PTSD. Of course I've been in abusive relationships. I have complex PTSD. Of course I don't have a big community of people to support me, so I created my own. I have complex PTSD. Of course I have an insecure attachment style. I have complex PTSD. Of course I have a fear of abandonment. I have complex PTSD. Of course I'm always scanning the room to make sure that I'm safe, looking for all the exits, making sure I'm facing all the doors. I have complex PTSD. Of course I'm going to dissociate and try to detach from everything that's going on in my reality, because life be lifing. I have complex PTSD. Of course I have flashbacks and nightmares about my traumatic experiences. I have complex PTSD. Of course I'm easily startled. Please do not try to play no pranks on me. I have complex PTSD. Of course I have trouble regulating my nervous system sometimes. And please don't try to tell me, calm down, calm down. I know I need to calm down. I have complex PTSD. Of course I have difficulties being vulnerable with people. I have complex PTSD. Of course I'm going to try to avoid my emotions. I have complex PTSD. Of course I'm not giving nobody the benefit of the doubt, because why would I do that? I have a history of being harmed when I've done that in the past. I have complex PTSD, and I'm a therapist and coach for Black women who also have complex PTSD. So if you are looking for someone to help you work through your stuff, I'm accepting new clients. You can go to my bio. You already know what to do. And I also have a free community for Black women called the Legacy Members Club, where we connect, heal, and thrive together. So that is also in my bio, and I hope to see you in there soon.